Hi Dave, thanks for joining us today. I know it's been a busy day for the first World Tour event back in London after 2 years. And I was just saying before we got going, I kind of measure my life in these events, these Sitecore events. Can't wait for a Symposium in Chicago this year. But I think I also mentioned it's been 10 years since I've been working alongside Sitecore, and it's probably one of the most exciting talks I've seen in terms of the future. So I was hoping today, for those of our clients and our friends who follow us on UNRVLD, who might not get to be here today to share some thoughts with us about, some of the key messages that came out of your talk. So to start with, I think one of the most interesting things about the Sitecore product now is the way it's just been very elegantly put together in the three kind of core areas around content, experience, and commerce. So maybe you could just talk to that a little bit and how you feel that product set meets the ambition that Sitecore has to create these personalized experiences at a mass scale.
Oh, thanks, Dan, and great to be here. I think one of the things we had to do when we started making the acquisitions is we realized that our product portfolio had kind of expanded significantly, and we moved beyond, XM, XP, XC to something much broader. And while XM, XP, XC had, email marketing automation as an example, or CDP capabilities with XDB, it was quite a simple sale in terms of, do you want A, B, or C? Which was great. And so, as we move into this new world, we made these acquisitions. We've also kind of evolved our strategy to be composable. I think one of the challenges was, how do we describe the whole portfolio in a way that is easily understood by a buyer? And so we've been on this journey to be able to really unpick what is the value that all of our products deliver to our customers, what's the language that our customers use in the market, or how do other vendors or the market describe these products. And we wanted to simplify things such that we could easily describe our portfolio in a way that was easy for a buyer to understand, or for an external person who's not necessarily familiar with Sitecore to understand. I think Sitecore has such a great penetration and such a great stable of brands. Like most people in the industry know Sitecore, and they'd know Sitecore for being an enterprise DXP. I think our next evolution, or our next step, is as we move into composable and we've got a much broader portfolio, building our name in those different areas is something we're really, really focused on. So that's the reason why we created the three pillars: commerce, or content, experience, and commerce. And we want to be the leaders from content to commerce. And then within those pillars, we've kind of expanded on that in terms of capabilities or value or problems we solve for the buyer or for the user, such that we don't have to talk about products initially. So think of it as a layering. This is our overarching strategy across the pillars. This is the value we create in the pillars across different products. And then these are actually how we solve it. And like one of the great things about Sitecore now is that we have different ways to solve the same problem from a product perspective. So if a customer still has specific needs around data residency, or specific financial or regulatory concerns that they want to host the product themselves, XP is still going to be a great product for them if they want to do personalization, manage customer data, and do other things around the digital experience. So we want to continue to offer those capabilities, but we also have an alternate capability in that you can use CDP and personalize, which are completely cloud-based and SaaS-based, to solve the same problem, albeit maybe in a slightly different way. So what we want to do is make external people coming to Sitecore, people having conversations with Sitecore for the first time, know that we can solve customer data management, as an example. And then as the conversation evolves, or we explore their unique needs, we can guide them to the right solution for them, given that our product portfolio is that broad now. So it's exciting, but one of the challenges we're really keen on solving is describing our portfolio in a way that makes it easy to interpret or easy to understand.
I totally agree. As somebody who has to work with prospective clients and new clients, to have a way to communicate it in those three pillars, which is a great way to think about it, it makes my life so much easier, especially when you're talking about outcomes and what it gives you and the benefit that comes to the business. One of the things you did say earlier today with regards to some of, I won't call it legacy, but XP, XM, which is very well established, that unequivocal support is I know that many of my clients and prospective clients have that, it's going to be really important to them, because I'm sure they're very excited about the composable future, but also a little bit nervous about the investment that's happened to date. So it'd be great for you just to reiterate that and talk about what that means to you in terms of that ongoing investment.
No, great question. And I think we see kind of three types of customer going forward. We think there's going to be customers who are continuing to invest and build on what we're calling our platform DXP. So I don't want to refer to it as legacy. It is a core part of our product portfolio, and that we're going to continue to invest and expand on. And customers will want to use that for a variety of reasons. You know, they like the fully integrated approach. They like the fact that they've got maybe a partner or some expertise in house that's specific to Sitecore, and they can leverage that. So I think it's important that we give customers confidence that there's a future path, and we'll continue to innovate on that side of the house. I think there's the other customers who are really thinking about future strategic architectures and want to go all in on cloud and composability, and we're seeing a real uptick in demand on that side of the house for customers who are going all in on composable. But interesting enough, because Sitecore has got such a huge install base, you know, we see the real interesting opportunities where we combine platform with composable. So for instance, we've a huge number of customers this quarter actually have taken advantage of Personalize as a way to enhance their XM installation. So they might be on 8.4 or 9.3 or, you know, an older version of Sitecore, but in that world, we're not asking them to upgrade to take advantage of the new composable products. We can actually integrate Personalize deeply into an XM or XP installation, and they can get value of some of those products initially. So, you know, actually, in this mode, I think we're seeing a number of kind of different dynamics. I think one, people are looking to Sitecore for that elastic scale from the cloud, and that comes from this hybrid deployment now, where you can continue your investment in XM, XP, and strategically or opportunistically take advantage of some of the composable products. But we're also seeing customers not just continuing to upgrade. So a huge number of customers upgraded to 10.2 recently. That they've migrated not just to 10.2, but also introduced a headless architecture. So, you know, the migration to 10.2 for customers who want to future-proof themselves along that stream is they should upgrade to 10.2, migrate from the CD node implementation with MVC to a more headless approach, so move the configuration of the head to a front end outside of the Sitecore APIs. And in doing that, they're future-proofing themselves for XM Cloud, because that's our XM Cloud architecture. So customers can be confident that they can stay on whatever version they are and continue on our 10.x release train and know that Sitecore has got their back. But what we're recommending as people are moving up through those versions is that there's specific architectural concerns that you should be aware of. Yeah. That if you, for instance, upgrade your CMS to a later version of 10.x, do think about headless, even if it's Blazor or MVC on the head, but do think about re-architecting to take advantage of edge and moving to headless, such that you're future-proofed for any move to XM Cloud or into our cloud portfolio going forward.
Can I pick up on that point, actually, Dave? It's interesting. I recently had a fireside chat with your colleague, Nick Malone, at COO, and we had a slightly different orientated conversation there about, you know, the coming together of the business and the partner enablement side of it. Because, like you say, to ready yourself for those kind of changes, you have to make architectural decisions. So we had a good chat about the partnerships and how we need to enable ourselves. But maybe from a customer point of view, is there any specific advice or thoughts that you have about what clients might want to start thinking about now to enable them to take advantage of this product set? Because, you know, quick count, maybe 9, 10 products now across the 3 pillars. You know, there's a lot of considerations there, and obviously we'll play our part as a partner in enabling and helping them. But from a client point of view, is there any kind of ideas or advice that you think they need to think about in being ready for this new world?
Yeah, I think that obviously I spoke a little bit about moving to headless. I think that underpinning all of our new architectures and our new approaches is a headless-first mentality. So when we talk about composability, we're really talking about being API first, being openly integratable with other products, and being a good neighbor or a friendly neighbor in the stack.
I like that phrase. That's good. Friendly neighbor.
Yeah. No. And so I think as we move forward, there's very specific things that we're certainly advising customers on XM and XP and Content Hub to think about as they move forward. So like items as resources, headless architecture. There are things that as you're upgrading, and there's an investment required to upgrade, there's certain things I think would be recommended that would mean that at some point, if you choose to take advantage of some of the cloud capabilities, particularly in the content management space, that would be a winner. As you're doing those things, it makes sense to improve and modernize even if you're staying on our 10.x release train.
Yeah, just it's interesting on that. Obviously, where Sitecore's going, great enterprise clients. We talked about Aston Martin earlier today, etc. They have, businesses like that often have big IT teams and really should be thinking around like items like architecture, enterprise architecture. So couldn't agree with you more. We recommend that. Think about these big picture questions, because there's often, like you say, being a friendly neighbour, there are a lot of other business systems that are in the mix. But I love that phrase, the friendly neighbour. And I think one of the very progressive things about Sitecore has been that recognising that, there's an ecosystem out there and, there are many different vendors out there. But I would actually like to ask you, with the product set that you have, you could fulfill all those roles in that composable stack. Is there any particular advantage from having a native Sitecore only composable stack? Send, B2B order cloud, all those kind of things. Is there an advantage to have it all? Will you get some, 2 + 2 = 5 kind of situation?
Yeah, there's definitely an advantage to leveraging more of the Sitecore capabilities, and we certainly don't want that to be misinterpreted as inadvertent lock-in, for instance, because this is something that we're really keen from a strategic perspective to remain open and
promote that flexibility.
Absolutely, and the agility that comes with it. So, but that said, I think one of the big challenges with composability and buying, call it composability or best of breed, if you're building a best of breed MarTech stack, I think the challenge then becomes integrations, and you need a big internal IT team, or you need a kind of a strong partner like UNRVLD to be able to help bring that together. But the promise of composability, plug something out, plug something in, is great, and certainly it definitely gives the customer leverage and holds the vendor, and they can hold the vendor accountable if they're not performing in a particular part of the stack. That said, I think if you look at, say, composing a product of an email tool from one vendor, CMS from another, and something else from another, it's likely you're going to have to log into those products differently. The integrations between them may or may not be good, depending. 100%, and so I think that Sitecore's value prop is that we're 100% composable and aligned to that vision, but we're investing to make sure that there's a better together story, and that's something that we're promoting, that we want to have a composable stack, but Sitecore products are better together. So we'll have a unified customer experience and the end user experience. So for the analyst or the marketer, as they move across some of the acquisitions, the products and the workflows will feel seamless. So for instance, I'll be able to, in Personalize, I can go in there and select an image from Content Hub and use that and deploy that instantly on a website. And that could be XM or some other vendor's website. But that idea that the content from Content Hub is instantly available in Personalize is a really good example. Another good example in XM Cloud is that we will have elements of Personalize and analytics baked into XM Clouds. You won't even know behind the scenes. There's some of those services are being fulfilled by CDP and Personalize, but it means that we have this wonderful, completely integrated experience, which, as I kind of interviewed lots of partners and customers, it became clear that that was a real value driver. The real killer demo of Sitecore and the real killer use case for business users that use Sitecore is that they can log in, they have the templated site, they can edit the site in a very structured way, and then they can apply personalization really easily, and then all the analytics is baked in, and it all comes in a kind of a single pane of glass. That's something that we are really, really keen to replicate in Composable. And so when you ask me, how do we differentiate or how do we execute on our better together strategy, it's really about that. It's about unifying the business user experience behind the scenes. So I want to set up a segment in CDP and then use that to personalize and create that digital experience on the website, and in the back office, and then in the front of house or in the delivery, It's all about unifying everything at the edge, so everything is accelerated, the content is available instantly globally, and we can personalize and deliver from the edge regardless of where a customer is located.
I couldn't agree more, Dave, and it was really good for me as a partner who's worked with the product for a long time to hear this focus on the user in terms of the Sitecore user, about that increased user experience, which is fantastic. And I think another killer thing from my perspective, from what I heard today, was very exciting on the roadmap with the platform.
Yeah.
And I know many of my customers would have just been going brilliant when they heard about, upgrades, for example, becoming a transparent thing of the past, and maybe just as we get towards the end of this chat, maybe talk about that for those who might not be so savvy, why this is a good thing, why having a cloud native first is going to remove what has, to be quite honest with you, as an honest partner as well, been a painful process and quite expensive process for many of our customers in the past.
No, 100%. When we set out on the journey to kind of build XM Cloud, honestly, we weren't quite sure we could do it because XM Cloud is a very mature product. XM is a very mature product. It has very specific deployment mechanisms. And when you think about what does SaaS or cloud mean, it does mean, infinitely scalable, just switch it on, it works. No more upgrades, no more hosting. And so in the CMS world, you're taking on things like, which were traditionally left to partners, things like how fast is the site, where does the CDN work, what's the uptime? SLA, Sitecore traditionally provided the components. It's like the paint set, the partner was the artist, and they created the picture. I think that
with some better drawing the picture than others.
Exactly. And one of our challenges with building XM Cloud is we don't know how many different ways a partner has customized XM out in the wild. And so I think for us, what we tried to do with XM was provide some structure in terms of how we're going to deploy it. So we've re-architected for the cloud. We have now the ability to infinitely scale the CM, the content management capabilities. We're removing the CD, and then so when you publish from your content management, it goes directly to the edge, and then it becomes available headlessly globally. So in that world, I think that we've kind of solved the architectural elements of it. Certainly. And then behind, so what does that mean? It means that we can live up to the, people don't want to just buy cloud. They buy the benefits of cloud, which is no more upgrades, no more IT, easy to use. And so if we try to live by those, just taking those three tenets as an example, then all of our focus over the last while has not been adding new features to XM, because it's a really fully featured, really powerful capability. It's trying to understand how do we re-architect it in a way that means we can minimize the upgrade overhead. The good thing, I guess, and upgrade overhead, and then also lean into the ability of the CDN technology to allow us to elastically scale globally. The good thing on the upgrade piece is that we are committed to allowing customers still deploy fairly significant customizations in XM. There'll be a line by which if you deploy very sophisticated or complex customizations, we can't commit
to
the
upgrade.
Do, right?
Yeah.
But if you, and we'll give you guidance that if you configure and customize within this box, within these parameters, we can commit to auto upgrade. And that's something that is really exciting. I think that, looking at the history of Sitecore, obviously older versions of Sitecore were specifically quite difficult to upgrade and expensive. To be fair, I think we've done a lot of good work in recent 10.x releases.
It's gone much easier, absolutely.
And maybe in many ways my job has been a bit easy in that there's been all these innovations in Sitecore behind the scenes, containerization, improvements and upgrades. And these have been hard things technically behind the scenes, not necessarily new features. What we've been able to do is bundle up all this great innovation that's been happening in Sitecore over the last, maybe 2 years, and create this new product and bring it to market as a cloud service, which is really, really exciting. So we're on a journey. I think we're getting there in terms of once we can get XM to the cloud, I think it'll be a really meaningful step on our cloud journey to go alongside all of the rest of our. Yeah.
And maybe just to finish off then, Dave, and I wouldn't expect you to give away the state secrets and M&A, but you've obviously got a huge amount on the roadmap.
Yeah.
Maybe if I ask in a more abstract way, do you think there are any big pockets of capability within those 3 pillars that need to be closed by Sitecore without necessarily saying what they are or what, if you're in those kind of conversations? Or is it a case that you think you've got, for the moment anyway, a period of bedding it in, getting it working, firing on all cylinders, or should we just watch his space?
No, look, I'm happy to share some insights there. So I think the first thing is that, in my presentation, I was talking about just how fast things are moving, right? So I think it's unrealistic for us to say that we have every corner of the DXP covered. And so we have a strategy internally. When we look at capability, do we build, do we buy, or partner? So build, buy, partner. And you may have seen, it's been soft launched, but the Sitecore Marketplace is now live on sitecore.com. And it's just speaking to the world of partners and integrations.
We're working on stuff. Yeah, it's good.
You guys
are
working on as well. So
yeah,
it's great, right? And it gives opportunities for partners to showcase new innovations as well. So I think that's a big part of how we can extend the capability, and the composable strategy and the investments in the platform will mean that we can plug these things into our composable stack much easier. So that's kind of the partner side. And then on the build and buy side, we've been through this very aggressive acquisition phase. There's certainly for sure more we're thinking about. I can't share there, but I
wouldn't expect you to.
In terms of areas that we're really interested in right now, analytics is one. We've got a huge amount of capability in CDP from a data management perspective. I think you'll see from Sitecore, and it'll be built right now, but we're going to see from Sitecore a lot more coming out in terms of content analytics, better analytics, in terms of audience segmentation and auto segmentation. And so we're doing a whole body of work around insight and AI powered by the new CDP data lake. So everything kind of gets centralized there. On the content side, we think video and AR, VR is really interesting. I know there's a lot of talk about the metaverse. Who knows what that's going to be, but I do think from a Sitecore perspective, content is our kind of center of gravity. So in that world, I think that we want to do more in terms of kind of things beyond 2D content. So I think there's video, and then AR, VR, and NFTs, and all these things content's evolving, and I think that with our capabilities in Content Hub, I think we've got an interesting role to play, and who knows where we take it in the future. And then the last big theme we're looking at is collaboration. We've got some really good capabilities in Content Hub around back office collaboration for marketers. How do you kind of Kanban boards and different ways to annotate content as you're kind of thinking about the collaboration and creation piece. So the question is, how do we take those capabilities, abstract them, and then apply them everywhere? For instance, in personalize, some of our customers have very scaled personalization programs that could be running hundreds of concurrent A/B tests at any one time. But to do that effectively, it's a process you got to run internally. So you got to have an ideation, a backlog. It's like an agile process. A backlog. You've got your personalization or your A/B tests in progress. You've got your winners, your losers, and so all the collaboration around that is typically done somewhere else. And that's a really interesting area that I think that collaboration for marketers is a little bit underserved right now, and it's somewhere that we're kind of looking at as a hot space. So, right now we're making that decision. Maybe we build, maybe we buy, maybe we partner, but they're kind of general themes that we're interested in right now. I
appreciate you sharing those. I remember asking Nick the question earlier or late last year, and what's been great is to see how much of the promise and the commitment that has been put out there being delivered. Yeah. And I think that gives us all confidence as partners, as customers, that Sitecore is in a really good space and is going to go from strength to strength, as it has done for certainly my 10 years of being involved. So thank you very much for joining us today, Dave. I know it's been a busy day, first day back in person, but hopefully we'll be speaking again, maybe in Chicago, and we'll learn and understand more on what's happening. So thank you very much.
No, thanks, Dan, and great to be working with partners like UNRVLD. So looking forward to seeing you in Chicago.
Great, thanks, Dave.